What if I told you that deep in southeastern Nigeria, long before modern roads, smartphones, and colonial maps, a civilization built pyramids that rivaled some of the world's greatest ancient monuments? Yet today, almost nobody talks about them. No blockbuster movies. No international headlines. No crowds of tourists. For generations, the story of the Igbo pyramids remained hidden beneath layers of earth, forgotten by the world and nearly erased by time itself. Some people even refuse to believe they ever existed. But in a quiet village called Nsud, the land still whispers secrets of a forgotten age. Who built these mysterious structures? Why were they created? And how did such an incredible piece of African history almost disappear forever? This is the astonishing story of the lost pyramids of the Igbo kingdom, a tale of faith, power, mystery, and a legacy that refuses to die. Centuries ago, the rolling hills and forests surrounding Nsud were alive with activity. Farmers cultivated yam fields, hunters roamed the forest, and traders traveled between neighboring communities. The people lived in harmony with nature, believing that every tree, river, and hill possessed spiritual significance. At the center of their belief stood Ola, the earth goddess. She was regarded as the guardian of morality, fertility, and prosperity. The elders thought that Ola watched over every action, rewarding honesty and punishing wrongdoing. As generations passed, spiritual leaders sought a way to honor the goddess more visibly. They wanted a monument that would symbolize the people's devotion and connect the physical world with the spiritual realm. This vision would eventually lead to one of the most remarkable construction projects in ancient Igbo history. One season, after months of unusual weather and poor harvest, a respected priest claimed to have received a divine message. During a sacred ritual, he said Ola revealed a vision of towering earthen structures reaching toward the heavens. The priest gathered the elders beneath an ancient tree and shared his revelation. He described giant stepped monuments where prayers would rise to the spirits and blessings would descend upon the people. Many villagers doubted him. Building such structures would require tremendous effort and resources. Yet others believed the goddess had spoken. After days of debate, the council approved the project. The decision would change the history of Nsud forever. The entire community joined the effort. Men dug clay-rich earth from nearby pits. Women carried baskets of mud and water. Young people gathered wood and materials needed for reinforcement. Every day began with songs and prayers. Workers shaped enormous circular foundations and carefully layered mud upon mud. The structure slowly rose from the earth like giant stairways reaching into the sky. The work was exhausting. During the rainy season, portions collapsed and had to be rebuilt. Yet the people refused to quit. They believed the goddess herself was watching. Months turned into years. The project became more than construction. It became a symbol of unity, proving that an entire community could achieve something extraordinary when working together. Eventually the pyramids stood proudly above the surrounding landscape. Arranged in rows, they appeared almost supernatural when viewed from a distance. Villagers traveled from neighboring settlements just to witness them. The largest structures towered above nearby buildings and became visible across vast stretches of land. Wooden poles crowned their peaks, representing spiritual authority and divine connection. During sunrise, shadows stretched across the fields, creating a breathtaking sight that inspired awe and reverence. The pyramids transformed Nsud into a spiritual center. Pilgrims arrived seeking blessings, guidance, and protection. The village had become home to one of the most remarkable sacred sites in the region. Each year, thousands gathered to celebrate. Ola drums echoed across the countryside. Dancers painted in symbolic colors performed rituals around the pyramids. Priests climbed the earthen steps carrying offerings of food, kola nuts, and symbolic gifts. Villagers sang ancient songs passed down through generations. The celebrations lasted for days. Markets flourished. Traders exchanged goods from distant communities. Stories were shared around fires late into the night. For many visitors, the pyramids seemed almost magical. They represented a bridge between humanity and the divine. The annual festival strengthened cultural bonds and reminded everyone of their shared identity and beliefs. As the reputation of Nsud grew, so did its prosperity. Farmers enjoyed abundant harvest. Traders brought wealth and new opportunities. The village became known far beyond its borders. Many credited the blessings of Allah and the sacred pyramids. Whether by faith or coincidence, years of stability followed their construction. Children grew up hearing stories of the builders. They viewed the pyramids not only as monuments but as proof of what determination could accomplish. The structures became symbols of hope and pride, reminding every generation that greatness could emerge from ordinary people united by a common purpose. Generations later, unfamiliar faces began appearing in the region. Foreign explorers, missionaries, and colonial officials arrived with different beliefs and customs. Many were fascinated by the pyramids. Others dismissed them as primitive relics. As new religions spread, traditional practices gradually declined. Younger generations became less connected to the ancient rituals surrounding Allah. The sacred site remained standing, but its influence slowly weakened. The winds of change had arrived, bringing uncertainty about the future of the ancient monuments. Years passed. Elders who remembered the old ceremonies died. Sacred songs were forgotten. Ritual pathways became overgrown. Without regular maintenance, rainwater began eroding the mud structures. Small cracks appeared. Sections collapsed. Some villagers feared the loss of tradition. Others believed modernization was more important than preserving the past. The pyramids, once filled with life and celebration, stood increasingly silent. Nature slowly reclaimed what generations of builders had created. Season after season, heavy rains battered the structures. Grass grew from their sides. Wind carried away layers of earth. The pyramids fought a losing battle against nature. Unlike stone monuments, mud required constant care. People watched helplessly as portions disappeared. Yet even in decline, the site retained a mysterious beauty. Visitors could still sense the greatness that once existed there. The monuments were fading, but their story was not yet finished. In the 20th century, reports of unusual pyramids in southeastern Nigeria attracted attention. Colonial officials and researchers visited Nsut to investigate. They documented the structures and compared them to ancient pyramids elsewhere in Africa. Their descriptions introduced the site to a wider audience. For the first time, many outsiders learned that the Igbo people had built monumental religious architecture centuries earlier. The forgotten pyramids were no longer merely local legends. They had become part of documented history. Not everyone accepted the significance of the pyramids. Some historians questioned their age and importance. Debates emerged regarding who built them and when. Critics argued they were too small to compare with famous pyramids elsewhere. Supporters responded that size was not the issue. The true significance lay in what they represented: indigenous engineering, spirituality, and community organization. The discussion sparked renewed interest in Igbo history and encouraged efforts to preserve cultural heritage. Modern descendants of the region began sharing stories inherited from their elders. Oral traditions helped preserve memories that written records never captured. Researchers worked alongside community leaders to understand the cultural significance of the site. Each story revealed another piece of the puzzle. Together, they painted a picture of a society rich in spirituality, creativity, and resilience. The pyramids were no longer viewed simply as ancient structures. They became symbols of ancestral wisdom and cultural identity. As awareness spread, more Nigerians began learning about the Nsut pyramids. Historians, students, and cultural advocates called for greater recognition. The site became a reminder that Africa's history extends far beyond the narratives often taught in textbooks. People who once knew nothing about the pyramids were amazed to discover that such monuments existed in their own country. A forgotten chapter of history was finally being brought back into the light. Today, much of the original pyramids has been worn away by time. Yet their legacy remains stronger than ever. The story of the Igbo pyramids is not really about mud structures. It is about memory. It is about a people who dared to build something extraordinary, believing it would connect them to the divine and inspire future generations. Though rain may wash away clay and grass may cover ancient foundations, history cannot be erased so easily. The lost pyramids of Nsut continue to whisper across the centuries, reminding the world that greatness once rose from the heart of Igbo land, and that some stories are simply too powerful to disappear forever.